चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती गौरवाणी प्रचारणे ऋषिण्यवादि पश्चात दिशतारण। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसति गौर हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे श्रीगुरुनाथारणं परमानंद माधव श्री चैतन्येश्वर। Hope everyone is doing well. And today is actually Radha Ashtami. I mean, today we'll discuss about Radha Ashtami, Radha appearance day of Radharani. It's a goddess of devotion and mother of the universe. You know? So Krishna, this is very secret. In fact, Krishna Tattva, you all should know, God is different from absolute truth. Do you know that? For example, country always stays whether the prime minister is there or not. A country and government always stays. The prime minister comes and goes, president comes and goes. Likewise, the word God, God, it means yes, God is there, no doubt, but absolute truth is different from God. You're listening to this? Absolute truth is different, is higher aspect than God. How many of you are understanding?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. That's a very interesting concept. And when you ask if you could please expound, because God is the highest and God should be equal to the absolute truth. There should be nothing higher than God. So I'd love to hear your explanation. Thank you so much.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Actually, absolute truth means it is absolute. It doesn't change. But especially in Hindu, in Eastern tradition, you see so many, what do you call, for example, President of America, yes, so many people working under him, secretaries, senators, so different people will be working. And in English, the Sanskrit term for God is, Devata or Deva. So it, this you should know, in eternity, a particular person comes and stays. We stay only 60-70 years. For example, there is a secondary creator called Brahma. In fact, he's the topmost living entity for this universe. He lives for 311 trillion 40 billion years. And how many years? 311 trillion 40 billion years. But there is a beginning for him and there is an end for him. So when his end occurs, then the universal destruction occurs. This universe also, it is there for very long time. So long time. But the universe has a beginning and end. Likewise, but absolute truth, it doesn't change. What has amazed the scientists is the vastness of the universe. You go 10 light years, you see thousands of planets. You go 100 light years, you see so many planets. You go million light years, you see so many planets. You go billion light years, you see so many galaxies. So one universe is destroyed, that doesn't mean the creator of that universe, one universe is destroyed and the creator of that universe is destroyed. It doesn't mean absolute truth is destroyed, because there are still many more universes there and absolute truth is running them. You're understanding?
Prabhuji, if I may, but the example that you gave, this is assuming God is a post, but capital G-O-D, it's not a post, like lowercase g-o-d, God, where there could be entities shifting in and out, like the prime minister. There's going to be multiple entities going into that post of prime minister, which is just a title. But God with a capital G, there, it's not a post, it's absolute truth. And so that example, the prime minister moving in and out, I think makes sense in the demigod perspective. Do you mind commenting on that? Thank you so much.
I agree. You're right. So basically, what I'm trying to make is absolute doesn't change. It is called Tattva, that doesn't change. So I'm very glad that you know demigods. But some people do not know that, especially in the Eastern perspective. But anyway, the point I want to make is, when we understand God is a personal, God has a personality, God is a person, then we are making a lot of progress. So today, actually, rather than getting into the details, let us go forward. And I agree with one point that you said. You want to, if you want to understand capital G with God as that absolute truth that doesn't change, and they are different from demigods, I agree with you, actually. Nice point. Thank you very much. So God is actually energetic. God possesses unlimited energies. God possesses unlimited energies. Like the way you have a car, a bank account, a home. So likewise, God also has unlimited energies. Parasha sector vivadeva sruita swabhavika jnana balakriyacha. So, but God is also, in bhakti tradition, God is masculine, God is also feminine, So, how is that? How is that? So I'm going to tell a small story. So it's very pleasing to know God is masculine, God is also feminine. How? Actually, God is one, no doubt. But Radha Krishna, Eka Atma Duyiti Hadari, Anyonya Vilasa Rasa Aswadana Kori. So in the beginning, God is actually one, but God means reservoir of pleasure. He wants to have unlimited happiness. So what he did, happiness is actually state of consciousness, not a thing. Happiness comes from loving exchange. So this material world is called, this material world is made up of matter, and matter is always dead. So, but if you go above the material world, there is a spiritual sky, Paravyoma. In the spiritual sky, all the spiritual planets float in that effulgence. The topmost spiritual world, the topmost planet of the spiritual world is called Goloka Vrindavan, where Supreme Lord is present. We call, because he is very attractive, because he is a reservoir of pleasure, we call him Krishna. So one day he was in the arena of a rasa dance. He was alone, only one in the beginning. And suddenly he developed a desire to enjoy. God is the cause of all causes, right? So when he developed a desire to enjoy, what happened? Immediately, when he developed a desire to enjoy, from his heart, one young girl came out. And, she came out, and as soon as she came out, she started running towards him. She started running towards him. Ra means Rasamandala, the dance arena, the Rasa dance arena. Dha means Dhavamana, means She is running to serve him. She is running towards him to serve him. That's why she is called Radha. That's why she is called Radha. That is how first Radharani made appearance in the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. And Krishna means God, Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna has three energies. He has unlimited energies, I said, but of that three are very prominent. Sandhini, Samvit, and Hladini Shakti. Three energies. Sandhini is the energy by which Krishna eternally maintains himself. And Samvit is the energy by which Sandhini is called cognitive potency. Sandhini is called cognitive potency. When that energy works on us, then we understand we are not this body but a spirit soul. We understand Krishna's supreme personality of Godhead. And we understand we are part and parcel of Krishna. And the goal of life is, to purify ourselves so that we can go back to Krishna and render service to Krishna. That is what is called a cognitive potency, Samvit. But there is one more pleasure potency called Hladini Shakti. Actually, because by the power of cognitive potency, you perform things, you get skills, how to decorate the deity, how to give class, how to play mrudanga, and how to do things. If you receive the mercy of Samvit potency, cognitive potency, you know how to do things. But there is one more pleasure potency called Ahladini Shakti. Radha Krishna Pranay Vikritra Ahladini Shakti Rasmat Ekat Manav Api Bhupura Deha Beto Gatoto Sri Chaitanyakyam Prakatamodana Tadvim Chekyam Aptam Radha Bhav Svaltam Nomi Krishna Swarupa. First of all, whatever Krishna does, they're totally spiritual because God is spiritual. So Krishna's birth and his activities are totally spiritual. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yuveti tattvata. So the interaction, actually there is one saying, Krishna is a reservoir of pleasure. Krishna is a reservoir of pleasure. Why people go to temples? So that they receive peace from God. They receive happiness from God. God is also self-satisfied. Atma Rama. Atma Ramascha Munayo. Nirgrandapi Urukrame. So how is God self-satisfied? Because he has that pleasure potency within him. So to enjoy, what he will do? He will take it out. That pleasure potency is called Radharani. Clear? Everyone is able to follow?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, do you mind if I interject with a question? I hope it's not off. I've heard these three Shaktis before, and just to clarify, are the Jivas then under the Ladini because we are to give pleasure to Krishna, but yet the Jiva could also be blessed with the Samvit potency, with the cognitive you mentioned? Then to check, then that means that we could, I guess, hover or kind of straddle multiple is energies, because I had heard the Nitya Siddhas are part of the Sandhini potency, but yet they are also in that forever pleasure giving position, I guess female to Krishna. So does that mean the Nitya Siddhas are, it sounds like in one sense the Sandhini and then Ladini as well, because they're also giving pleasure. Do you mind explaining that? Thank you so much.
Actually, somebody gave a class last Sunday in our temple, and they were talking on this. Mahatmanastamam Parda Daivi Prakriti Masrita. This verse comes in Bhagavad Gita. So that's where, what is that? You made a nice point. There it is mentioned, Nitya Siddhas. I mean, that speaker mentioned, and we had a discussion afterwards. He said, we are all the emanations of Radharani, he said, because we are essentially spiritual in nature. We are Satchitananda. So for that he said, though Krishna says in Gita, we are the emanations of Krishna, but because we are spiritual in nature, he quoted this verse and said, we are actually, because we are spiritual in nature, he said we are actually the emanations of Radharani, because we are meant to give pleasure to Krishna. You're understanding? But of course, we maintain our existence. We maintain, this is the thing, Satchitananda. Sat feature is maintained by, Sat feature is actually especially for Krishna and us also. Sat feature is maintained by Sandhini potency, and cognitive potency is maintained by Chit feature is maintained by Samvit potency, and Ananda is maintained by Hladini potency for Krishna. But because we are part and parcel of Krishna, because we are meant to give pleasure to Krishna, we are spiritual, our nature is essentially spiritual. We belong to the pleasure potency. In other words, we belong to Radharani. That is what we discussed and concluded. Okay. Should I continue?
I have more questions for Prabhuji, but I could always leave for the end. That was a great explanation, but I have a few clarifying questions. Thank you so much.
So, Krishna, what is that? The source of all the incarnations. Krishna, what is that? He is the fountainhead of incarnations. Means Vishnu Tattva, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasava Bhrutya. So all like it is Jiva Tattva, Shambhu Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, everything is an emanation of Krishna. Radharani being his energy, she also expands equally, because when Krishna becomes Vishnu, Radharani becomes Lakshmi. The way Krishna is the origin of Vishnu Tattva, Radharani is the origin of Shakti Tattva, and especially Lakshmi Tattva. So when Krishna expands, Radharani also equally expands. So our Krishna's concerts are of three types. All the Lakshmis, there are three types. Krishna's concerts are of three types. The Lakshmis, they emanate from Radharani. The queen, what is that? Mahishi Gana, the queens of Dwaraka, they're also expansions of Radharani. And all the gopis of Raj, they're also expansions of Radharani. When specific, Lakshmi and the queens of Dwaraka, they are Vaibhav Vilas and Vaibhav Prakash, expansions of Radharani. And gopis are the mirror images of Radharani. So in other words, because Radharani is meant to give pleasure to Krishna, she serves Krishna in three different ways. All the entire Lakshmi Tattva comes from Radharani, and the queens of Dwaraka, they're also from Radharani. And the gopis, unlimited number of gopis. One place I read, Krishna has, somebody wrote it's 2 billion gopis, but recently I read it's 632 million gopis Radharani has. Anyway, so they're all the concerts. In other words, practically all the concerts, they are the emanations of Radharani. So, and to continue, there are two words, Yogamaya and Mahamaya. You know? So spiritual energy and mental energy. Spiritual energy, like, when you want to purify yourself, you follow the laws of nature, you practice bhakti, and you obtain the grace of that spiritual energy. Then what happens? You are under the influence of spiritual energy, then unlimited joy and happiness. But then, like any other rebellious conditioned soul, we become controllers. We want to enjoy independent of God. We don't care for the nature's laws. Whatever the dictation comes from our mind, we act. We don't care for anything, anyone, anybody. Then we come under the influence of mental energy. Tvam amsa Lakshmi Durgadikacha. So Lakshmi is an emanation from Radharani. Durga is also an emanation from Radharani. Like, when we are very, very humble and subservient, then we receive the, then what happens? Mother takes care of us. But sometimes we are doing so much nonsense. Then what mother does? Mother punishes us only to make us, mother disciplines us only to make us better citizens of tomorrow. So likewise, Radharani also, all the devotees, they come under the influence of Radharani. And but the rebellious souls, they come under the influence of Durga. 3 modes of mental nature. Yeah. So the goal of the life is to become free from the 3 modes of mental nature and go under the influence of Yogamaya, spiritual energy. So so Krishna is a Shaktiman, is the energetic, and Radharani is Shakti. So they are not different. They are not different. So in fact, as a Radharani Shakti, Govinda Nandini Radha, Govinda Mohini, Govinda Sarva Sarva Kanta Shiromani. She gives pleasure to Krishna. She is she she keeps Krishna in her control, and Krishna entices everybody, but she entices Krishna. And Govinda Sarvasva, she's the be all and end all of Krishna, and she's the crust jewel of her. She's the crust jewel of her. Krishna's concerts. So Radharani as energy, supreme energy, she has 2 duties. As a pleasure potency, Hladini Karaya Krishna Ananda Sadhana, Hladini Radwara Kare Bhaktera Poshana. Like a mother, the way mother serves the father. So Krishna, she serves Krishna and she perfectly satisfies Krishna. And but as a mother of the goddess of devotion, mother of the universe, she nourishes all her children, all the devotees. So Devi Krishnamai Prokta Radhika Pardevata Sarvalakshmai Sarva Kanti Samohini Param. So like if you see 2 things, she is acting as a medium between us and Krishna. So in Bhakti tradition, we approach Krishna through the medium of Radharani. Why? She's Devi Krishna, she's resplendent with all the wonderful qualities. Krishnamai, she sees Krishna everywhere, and she's absorbed in Krishna. She's called Pujarini, priest. Like, if you go to the temple, a priest performs arati, pujari. He performs, the service. And what he does, a priest perfectly worships God, perfectly worships Krishna. And that mercy, for example, he gives the ghee lamp, he shows the ghee lamp, he worships the Supreme Lord with ghee lamp. But the ghee lamp is given to everyone to receive the grace, right? He offers water to Krishna, but that water is sprinkled as a mercy, as a grace on everyone in the audience, right? On the audience. So, like that is the duty of Radharani. What she does, she serves Krishna very nicely, and she satisfies him, and and whatever the grace, because she perfectly satisfies him, Krishna loves Radharani. She keeps Krishna in her control, and whomever she recommends, Krishna does not say no to Radharani. That's why in Bhakti tradition we chant Hare Krishna mantra, which is nothing but a combination of Krishna and his energy, Radharani. Radha Krishna, Ekatma, they are one, and actually sometimes people ask, what is the relationship? Hey, they're one and the same. They're actually one soul. Only for the sake of pleasure, they have become to two. They have expanded to become two. Radha Krishna Eka Atma Doi Dehadari Anyonya Villasardas Asmadana Kori. So, happiness is not a product, but happiness comes from a loving exchange. If you understand this, we try to derive happiness from the loving exchange. Especially we try to serve Krishna. Even the material world, actually, material pleasure has beginning and end, but spiritual pleasure has only beginning, no end. Material pleasures, it starts like a gulab jamun. You will enjoy only 1 minute, and rasgulla 30 seconds. So they have beginning and end, and basically some senses. What is actually material pleasure? Okay, you scrape on the tongue. That's it. It is sensual. Or some, one opposite sex, one person goes, that light enters into our eyes and we become mad. So that's why material pleasures are called illusory. They appear they are there, but they are not there. But spiritual pleasure that's where soul enjoys. And enjoyment comes from service. Enjoyment comes from service. So, and Radharani serves Krishna because Krishna is the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Reservoir of pleasure. Whoever comes in contact with Krishna, he gives the pleasure to them. So Krishna's happiness is our nourishment. When Krishna finds enough, Krishna enjoys, that is actually our nourishment, because Krishna is all pervasive. So when Krishna is satisfied, then everyone is satisfied. If you want to water the tree, you have to pour water to the root. So when the roots get the water, and they distribute that water to every part of the tree. So likewise, if Krishna is satisfied, we being part and parcel of Krishna, we are also satisfied. Yasmin tushti jagat tushtam. So by satisfying Radharani, by satisfying Krishna, Radharani, what she does, she keeps him under her control, and she recommends us, my Lord, this is Krishna, this person is very good, please accept. So Krishna accepts. So we chant, our chanting as Radha and Krishna. So chanting is a spiritual call, and what is that? We are approaching Krishna through the mother. I mean, I don't know so much, but actually it's in the Eastern, in India, what we do, anything we want, people approach. If anything they want from father, they approach the mother. Mother will ask on behalf of the mother will ask father on behalf of the children. So likewise, what we do in chanting Hare Krishna, so, oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna Radharani, please engage me in your service. When we call like that, when we chant like that, immediately Radharani, it's a spiritual call. We're asking, please engage me in your service. So immediately Radharani recommends us, to Krishna, accept this person. So Krishna definitely. So whomever Radharani recommends, Krishna does not reject. So today, I want to tell the stories. We have a tradition of Prabhupada. Swami Prabhupada came to America. He said, I am a guru in the lineage, in the disciplic succession of God himself. I'm a 32nd guru, coming in the lineage of Krishna himself. So, as I said, Radharani has internal energy, spiritual energy, pleasure potency. She has two duties. One, she serves Krishna perfectly. Two, she nourishes the devotees. This is a wonderful picture that is there in Vrindavan, very famous in Vrindavan. This is actually Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami, trust me, this is a story of 500 years. This story happened 500 years ago, real story. But the one thing I want to tell is he's holding a bead bag, chanting Hare Krishna mantra only, nothing new. So he was also chanting, but he attained the grace. He saw Radharani. In other words, if we also follow his footsteps, one day we'll also receive our grace. So, should I tell the story?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
So, actually, I don't know if you've been to Vrindavan and Radha Kund. Radha Kund was excavated by Raghunath Das Goswami, and actually Radha Kund was donated. This pond was donated. Donated means actually, it's the sale deed. You can see the signature of Raghunath Das Goswami actually. He acquired this property. So anyway, Raghunath Das Goswami was actually, Prabhupada writes, on today's standards, his parents were billionaires. His father would collect 2 million gold coins, and he would he would deposit 1.2 million gold coins to the treasury and keep 800,000 gold coins as their income. If you have one gold coin those days, you are considered very rich. But his father annual income was 800,000 gold coins. Wow. But Raghunath Das Goswami, because of that spiritual calling, he gave up. Because everything in this material world is temporary. Do you know this? Whomever you are connected with today, whomever you have today, 20 years ago they were not there. Maybe 30 years ago they were not there. 50 years later they won't be there. Do you agree? How many of you agree? Huh? Thank you. I can see Leka raising. Thank you. Very nice. Dhawal also raising. Jitendra also raised his hand. With whomever we are associating, 30 years, Vrinda Ji also raised her hand. Whoever we are with today, what a relationship, practically everyone, 20, 30 years ago, we don't know them. 50 years later, we will not know them as simple as. Even bank account, people work so hard, putting money, and people consider the time. They equate their time with money, actually. Trust me. 50 years later, that will be there, but you won't be there. Do you agree? You may accumulate someone 2 million, 3 million, whatever. 50 years later, that will be there, but you won't be there. But my request to you, create a bhakti account and try to accumulate as much bhakti as possible, because that is the only thing that will come with you. But of course, at the same time, because we need to maintain the body, so we need to take care of our material things also. We need to take care of our social life also, no doubt. But we need to at the same time balance that with the spiritual life. Right? So Raghunath Das Goswami, he understood this importance. I won't be here in this world for a long time. So let me collect let me accumulate bhakti in my bhakti account. And what he did, he gave up everything. He renounced the world, went to Vrindavan. Actually, he stayed with Lord Chaitanya for a long time. And after that, later part of his life, he went to Vrindavan. And his father was a billionaire, but he was finding happiness staying under one tree, under each tree every day, So, but anyway, one day, he was sitting on the bank of Radhakund, and he was started chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and very soon he went deep. The first thing, a very important thing in chanting is whatever you chant, you should hear. Shravanam Kirtanam. If Shravanam Kirtanam are very good, that will translate to Smaranam. You'll remember nicely. Over a period of time, if you do, this will translate you to Varnadasa. Varnadasa means you accept Krishna's reality. Initially, it will not happen, but over a period of time, it will happen. But when your chanting happens, when you chant and you hear nicely, then what happens? Anusmriti, Dhruvanusmriti. The Krishna you like, or whatever, he comes. But that Krishna doesn't stay, it comes and goes because we cannot control our mind for a long time. But as you continue your spiritual practice of chanting, then that Krishna stays. Then Dhruvana Smriti means that. So for example, Nama Rupa Guna Leela. You chant name. For example, you will call your mom. So, Mom, how are you? Then mother says, I am fine. How are you? As soon as you hear her voice, you are hearing the sound. Sound will show you you immediately in your mind, you see your mother where she is standing. Right? In your mind, you see your mother standing. Because the name will take you to the form. Likewise, Krishna's name will take you to the form if you chant nicely. You're listening or not? Listening, right? So form will take you to the qualities. Then you'll think, okay, mom is standing here. Okay, standing next to the TV, and she's holding the phone like this. So name will take you to the form will take you to the qualities will take you to the Leela pastime. So Raghunath Das Goswami, by chanting the holy name, as this Hare Krishna mantra is actually a spiritual call. He connected with the name. So actually, after Dhruvanusmriti, next stage is Samadhi, means he will enter into the trance. So name. So what is that? He was focusing on the Hare Krishna. He was meditating on Hare Krishna mantra, and that connected. The name took him to the form took him to the qualities, and qualities took him to the pastimes. He was absorbed in the pastimes of Krishna. Then 2 tigers came. These 2 pictures are famous. That this picture is actually, I cut it, but that's why you are not seeing tigers there. I mean, there's one more picture. I removed it actually. So anyway, so immediately Krishna came. Krishna came, and that is a separate picture. I removed. I'm sorry. So Krishna came with anxiety. Right? Tigers came, maybe, they may attack Raghunath Das Goswami. And Sanatana Goswami came and he happened to see, he saw Krishna waiting and watching with anxiety. He saw the tigers drinking water. Then he saw Raghunath Das Goswami totally absorbed, oblivious to the surroundings, and he's absorbed in chanting the holy name. Then sometime later, the tigers left, saying that, making sure that now Raghunath Das Goswami is safe, Krishna left. But Sanatana Goswami told Raghunath Das Goswami, you do not know what has happened. You were so absorbed in your chanting Hare Krishna mantra. These tigers came for your protection. Krishna came. My request to you, how many times I told you, please construct a hut and live in that. That way, you don't take any service from Krishna. But this, Raghunath Das Goswami, so renounced. He's happy. He was happy staying under one unreached tree every day. But later, this thing happened. I'll tell this story and finish it today. Maybe one more, based on time. So one day, actually, Vrindavan is one of the hottest residential areas of the world. In May month, if you go, it's blistering hot. So early morning, he got up and he started chanting the holy name. He became free from his bodily consciousness. He connected himself with the pastimes of Krishna. But suddenly this was continuous chanting. Then what happened? The sun came, rose in the sky, and it was blistering hot. It was so hot. And Radharani appeared. She came and she covered Raghunath Das Goswami with her sari. So she couldn't take it. She couldn't see her devotee, being exposed to so much heat. And she stood in that hot sun, covering Raghunath Das Goswami with her sari. Again, Sanatana Goswami came. He saw Radharani holding her sari and covering, Raghunath Das Goswami. Finally, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, evening, sun went down, it became a little cool. Raghunath Das Goswami doesn't know, he was fully absorbed. But Radharani disappeared. Then Sanatana Goswami went and told Raghunath Das Goswami, how many times I told you to construct a hut? Today, other day you took service from Krishna. Today you've taken service from Radharani. Bhakti means we don't take service from anybody. We don't take service from Radharani. We give service to Radharani. But what you did today, you've taken service. Raghunath Das Goswami, when he heard, Radharani had to come and cover him with her sari to protect him from heat, he felt very bad. And he constructed a hut, Bhajan Kutir. So that is the story of Raghunath Das Goswami. So Radharani also, this is Rupa Goswami. Should I tell the story how Rupa Goswami received the grace of Radharani?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, please.
One day, there's a place called Imlital, near Imlital area. Rupa Goswami went to, do his regular chanting actually. When he went there, and he started chanting there, and in that meditation, he saw a swing, and suddenly what happened? In that meditation, he saw gopis came, and Radha and Krishna came. They came, and he was chanting his rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And so Krishna sat on the swing and he told, Radharani, you come, today, we'll enjoy the swing festival. Julan. Radharani said, no, I'm not interested. Krishna said, why? You rock the swing so fast and so high, I'm always scared. Krishna said, no, I'll do it very soft. And Gopis told Radharani, no, Radharani, we are there for you. You don't need to, you don't need to be so scared. Radharani said, no, I don't want to. He rocks the swing so fast and he takes it so high. Gopi said, look, we have the rope in our control. We are rocking the swing with the rope. We take care of it. Come. And Rupa Goswami is watching this. Should I continue?
Yes, Prabhu.
So then what happened? Radharani said, all right, agreed. Okay, Gopis are controlling the rope, controlling the swing. So no problem. So Krishna sat, Radharani sat. Gopis started, they tied the rope to the swing and they started rocking slowly. Suddenly what Krishna did, if you kick the ground, what happens? And Krishna, with one powerful kick, he rocked the swing so fast, Gopis, they had to leave the rope and go away. When they left the rope, the swing went so high, and Krishna started swinging, rocking the swing so fast. The swing started going back and forth so high, it was rising in the sky and going back. Radharani said, no. And so Radharani held Krishna tightly. Radharani embraced Krishna. And Krishna, what he did, he kept on going back and forth. So Radharani was saying, stop. But it was going. At one point, what Krishna did, he rocked the swing so fast, and he put all his strength. The swing, it was going deep into the sky, far into the sky. At one point, the swing, it made 100% circle. Rather than closed her eyes, imagine it's like a giant wheel. If the swing goes like this, 360 degrees. And the 360 degrees, rather than she embraced Krishna tightly, and the swing made a 360 degrees, a full circle. And when Rupa Goswami saw that, he fainted in ecstasy, because he saw Krishna was an ecstatic. Krishna became ecstatic. And Radharani was in ecstasy, because though externally she was scared, but she was holding Krishna, so she was confident. And Gopis were laughing. And Rupa Goswami saw that, he fainted. When he recovered from his, when he became conscious, the swing was, empty. Radha and Krishna were not there. Gopis were not there. But because Krishna, rocked the swing up to full circle, the branch, there was a twist. There was a twist in the branch. And for a very long time, when devotees come, they would see the twist really, though it happened in the meditation. That Rupa Goswami saw that in his meditation. But it really happened. And the tree was alive for so many centuries. And devotees would come and see the twist. This is where Krishna rocked the swing so high. There was a twist in the branch. And that is the grace Rupa Goswami received from Radharani. Should I continue or end it?
Please continue, Prabhuji, please, if you have the time.
And one day, Rupa Goswami, he wrote 4 verses called Chatuh Pushpanjali. I'm sorry. And in that 4 verses, Rupa Goswami was and Sanatana Goswami, they were Prime Minister and Finance Minister. but they gave up their positions because they understood the value of life. This prime minister, finance minister position, they don't come with us. Everything in this world is temporary. The goal of life is to cleanse the heart and awaken that love of God that is there. Goal of life is not increase the impurity of the heart, but goal of the life is to cleanse the heart and awaken that love of God. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Satyakavanoy Sravanadi Suddha Chitti Kuriya Uday. So they resigned their positions and they would stay under one tree each day, you know. So they would stay under a different tree actually, you know. Each day they would stay under a different tree. But because they were spiritually very elevated, they were experiencing unlimited pleasure. Anyway, one day Sanatana Goswami went to see Rupa Goswami, the brother, and Rupa Goswami considered Sanatana Goswami, you know, his guru, though they're brothers. You know? So he's told his brother, today I wrote 4 verses describing the glory of Radharani. All right, read it. So at one time he said, he read saying that the hair of Radharani is like a cobra, like a snake. Sanatana Goswami said, Radharani is mother of the universe, goddess of devotion. And how can you compare Radharani's hair with the snake? You know, the comparison is not so good. Then he said, Rupa Goswami said, spirituality means humility. He did not say, I have written Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You know, no, I am right. No, he was so humble. All right. If you think, you know, this comparison is not good, you please tell me what should I compare with. Rupa Goswami said, I'll tell you tomorrow. I'll tell you later. And you know, they finished and he started going back to his place. But on the way, he happened to see some girls, very young girls, 14, 15-year-old girls, they were playing. And one girl, he happened to see, and you know, there was a snake on her hair. There was a snake on her hair, but she was just playing. And she was not aware of the snake on her hair. And when Sanatana Goswami saw that, he was very, he became anxious. He was overcome by anxiety. So, Lali, wait. There is a snake on your hair. It will bite you. Please see. But the girls were playing normally. As he was running towards them, suddenly that girl turned back like this and gave a side glance look at Sanatana Goswami. In 1 second, they all disappeared. Wow. When they all disappeared, Sanatana Goswami was shocked. This is not an ordinary girl. This is Radharani herself. And that is not snake, that is her hair. And Rupa Goswami description of Radharani's hair, his comparison with his comparison of Radharani hair with snake is perfect. Amazing. The next day he went to Rupa Goswami and told him, no, don't change it. Her hair is like that. Perfect. Your comparison is perfect. That is how Sanatana Goswami received the grace. And you know, if you go to any temple, Bhakti Center or a Brooklyn temple or any temple you go, on the altar, you see this picture. Jagannath Das Babuji Maharaj. I'll tell this one story and finish it, okay? Should I talk?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Jagannath Das Babuji Maharaj was this, like, you know, this story, I mean, it was like 200, 250 years. He was regarded as the commander in chief of all the devotees, you know, of that time. Very advanced devotee. He would chant all the time. And year 1830, there was a famine in Vrindavan. There was what? Famine. drought. So there was no food at all. And so when there were no rains and no crops, usually who will be affected? Saints and beggars would be affected, because the beg in Vrindavan, all the saints, they would go and beg every day. They would go and beg every day. When you don't have food, naturally what happens when there are no rains and no crops? Naturally, you will not give anything in charity, right? So there was, all the saints were leaving the Vraj, Vrindavan. And Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj decided to leave. The thought of leaving Vrindavan pained his heart. He did not want to leave. But there was no food. 1 day okay, 2 days okay, 3 days okay, 4 days. But how many days can you stay without food? Right? So finally what he did, he decided to leave Vrindavan. Because, he has to live, right? So one day he was decided to leave the place. As he was walking away from Vrindavan, Vraj, he came across an 8-year-old girl. Baba, where are you going? He said, I don't know. When will you come back? He said, I don't know. When he said like that, he cried. Because, Vrindavan is Radharani's place. And, how can I leave that place? Then she said, my mom sent me to you today. My mom said, actually, why you're leaving? She said, nobody's giving any food when we go for begging. So I don't have any food to eat. She said, no, today my mother told me to give you food. That's why I'm coming to you. My mother kept a plate for you. Please come and take prasad. She said, all right. So he thought, okay, I'll postpone my trip for some more time. And she left. And Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj went to their home. And he went to their home to beg. The owner said, no, sorry, we don't have anything. We don't have anything to give you. Practically we're empty. Jagannath Babaji Maharaj said, no, your daughter came to me today and said, your wife kept some food for me. So go and ask your wife. The father laughed. What are you talking? My daughter was married. She was sent to her in-laws home so many years ago. She doesn't stay with us anymore. Few years ago, she was married. And she moved to a different village. We don't see her regularly. You may be mistaken, you don't know whom you're talking about. Babaji Maharaj said, no, I know. This is your daughter. Many times I came to your home in the past and for begging. So his wife came and said, no, I think, you're becoming old. You may not, I don't know whom you have seen. Our daughter was married and she left, she left our village and she went to another village to in-laws home. Another Maharaj said, no, I'm sure this is your daughter. Just go inside and see anything is kept. Thus slowly, the pastime was unfolding. He understood who it was. So the mother went inside, there's a plate and covered with another plate. And she opened so many items. There are chapati, the rotis and chapatis and vegetables, sweets. Wow. The mother yelled, so she made a loud cry. Amazing, I did not make these things today at home. And Jagannath Babaji Maharaj said, Radharani herself came and kept that plate. And that is how he received the plate of prasad. Usually he would eat only rotis, chapatis. But that day, because it was given by Radharani, so he also ate practically everything and kept the plate with him. Right? So there are many more stories, but it's late now, so we'll end it here. Thank you very much. And if I've spoken anything wrong, do excuse me as your humble servant.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Yugal Kishore Prabhu. We have a couple of minutes, Prabhu, for 1 or 2 questions.
Only one, Prabhuji, it's a little late.
Okay. Anybody wants to ask a question?
Just one quick question, Prabhuji. Is that tree still there where the twist happened, like whose branch got twisted because of Krishna's swinging too strong?
I think, I'm sorry. I think the tree, I think left the world. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was there in the 19th century. It was there probably only a few years ago. So, I mean, that's what is mentioned,
Okay.
So we don't see that anymore. But devotees in the past, they would go and see and relate the pastime with the Rupa Goswami, Radha and His Grace, Radha and His Grace and Rupa Goswami.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Wonderful session. So many pastimes, beautiful pastimes. Yeah, we all are really nourished. Thank you so much.
Then will end it here. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Yugal Kishore Prabhu ki.
Ananta Kota Vaishnava ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Yugal Kishore Prabhu. Hari Bol.